but you should have received the Danbury High School Spring Conference, the agenda. After you're done with us at about 6:15 or so, probably a little earlier, get yourself, stand up, walk around a little bit. You can go to all the different departments, and there you'll be able to hear what they have to offer, in a 15-minute brief presentation on what they're about. Again, the biggest friend that any incoming freshman could have is the courses study guide, which is on our website, and the student handbook. Plethora of information there for you to look at and go through, and as always, ask us questions, and we're more than happy to answer any questions. We are extremely proud of what goes on at Danbury High School, and we want to share that with you. So again, welcome to the class of 2026. We're excited to have you here and can't wait for this to get going. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan. Yeah, he's absolutely right. 2026 it makes me feel really old each time I add a different number to this presentation. It's an exciting time. I'm excited for everyone to get to hear what the Freshman Academy is all about, and so I can show you kind of what we have on tap for next year. So the first thing I want to talk about is what is the Freshman Academy. Kind of an overview, basics, what it's about, why it's in place, how it's different than maybe middle school or maybe some other high school that you may be thinking about. I want to talk about registration information. What do you have to do to be ready for course requests so that your student can get all the courses that they hope they want for next school year? I want to talk briefly about supports and extensions. What do we do to help kids that maybe struggle? What do we do to extend those kids that are certainly not struggling at all? Mr. Salvestrini is going to talk briefly about athletics. We are going to do a quick promo for the PTO, talk about what's next in the process, and then we'll have time for question and answer. I have this recorded in case anyone misses it, so if you have someone who's rushing and texting you, take good notes, tell them, don't worry, I'm recording it so they can watch it in a future time. And I'm sorry for the beeping, it is quite annoying. Throughout the presentation, if you can just scan your questions with your phone, brings up a simple little Google form. You can add those questions to my spreadsheet, and I can read them off at the end and answer them, or I can get back to you if we don't have enough time, just so everyone gets a chance to ask a question if they have one. I have this little QR code in the bottom of each slide. So what is the Freshman Academy? We built the Freshman Academy to be separate from the rest of Danbury High School so that we could help our ninth graders transition. We found that freshmen sometimes stumble when they move from 8th to 9th grade. They have new responsibilities and new freedom, and sometimes it takes a little bit of an adjustment. So we put the Freshman Academy in place to allow for that adjustment. We have a group of 8 teams in the Freshman Academy, and each of those teams offers college prep and honors courses that I'll talk about in a few minutes. We have some specialized counselors up here in the Freshman Academy that understand what it takes to successfully move from 8th to 9th grade, because our goal is to get everybody from 9th to 10th grade. We take everyone in 9th grade, and our goal is to make sure that everyone gets to 10th grade on time with their 6 credits, and we'll talk about credits in a little bit. Another unique thing about our Freshman Academy is we have common planning time for our teachers. So your son or daughter will could be the topic of conversation in these common planning times. So if they're on Team 1 meets every other day to talk about their students. What's working in my class that's maybe not working in your class? What am I doing that's more effective than what you're doing with this individual student? What can we as a team do to help support or better extend our students so that they can get the most out of their freshman year? And we also have some additional sports that we'll talk about too. Our new Freshman Academy opened in the 2018-2019 school year. It was kind of a game changer. It's super nice over there. We went from kind of being cramped up here on the 4th floor to having our own kind of wing of the school. And it's beautiful. 26 classrooms, has a gym in the bottom. Some of you may have been there. We have beautiful locker rooms. The greatest thing of all is that it's air conditioned. We call it the G building, and your 9th graders next year will spend at least 3/4 of their time there. All of our teams will have 3 classes in the new building and 1 class out, meaning maybe they'll have English, math, science in the G building, and then social studies will be in a different building. It allows them to kind of get out to the rest of the school, but it also makes it a little more equitable for everyone having 3/4 of their class in there, because it's not quite big enough for all 32 teachers, because as I said, there's only 26 classrooms. All right. Pictures. So it's pretty nice. The science labs are really, really cool looking, state of the art. They have every amenity in 2018 when they were built. So we're in a really good place with our classroom space in G building. The gym is really cool. If you know anybody who wrestles, you may have been down there. Some cheerleading competitions. There's a whole bunch of practices down there too. But it's a really, really great facility. So I'm excited to have everyone enjoy it when they get here. So credits. Probably the most important thing you need to know about Danbury High School is everything that you do either earns or doesn't earn you a credit academically. So students can earn a half a credit per class per semester. So for English class, math class, science, social studies, a half a credit for the first semester, a half a credit for the second semester. The whole goal is to pass the quarters and then pass the semester. So if you got a 72 and a 66, first quarter, second quarter, you average those two together and that gets you semester one score. If that semester one score is over a 65, you earn a half a credit. If it's below a 65, you don't earn a half a credit. Probably the biggest difference between high school and middle school, if you're in middle school and maybe you don't do well in 7th grade math, you're going to go to 8th grade next year. It doesn't really work that way in high school. If you don't get to 6 credits, meaning if you don't pass 6 classes both semesters and earn those 6 credits, you don't become a sophomore on time. If you have 5.5, guess what? You're still a freshman when school starts next year. So it's really, really, really important that we are cognizant of those credits, that we make sure that we're doing really well in our classes and that we can move on to sophomore year on time. Overall, you need 25 credits to graduate from Danbury High School, and that looks kind of like this. They're all broken down in different areas. So you need 4 English classes, English 1, 2, 3, and then when you get to your senior year, you can take an AP class, or actually your junior year and senior year, you can take an AP class, or English 4. You need 2.5 credits of social studies. You need a fine art. You need a humanities elective. You need 3 math. I promise this is all on the website, so I'm reading through it really fast. The point of all this is you need to check all these little tiny check boxes throughout 4 years in high school to earn those 25 to graduate. If you go through your 4 years and you get hundreds and 92s and 95s across the board, absolutely do phenomenal, and you never take health, guess what? You're going to have 24.5 credits, and maybe you'll have more than 25, but you won't have the right 25. You're going to be a half credit short, and you're not going to graduate on time. So it's kind of like that buffet table. We have to figure out what we're going to take in each one of these different areas to fulfill those 25 credits so that we can graduate on graduation day. The cool thing is we don't have to make a ton of decisions for freshman year. Freshman year is fairly prescribed. The things you're going to have to think about is the difference between college prep and honors that I'll talk about in a minute. So whatever you choose for English, you have to choose the same thing for social studies. That's our modern world. So English and social studies have to be the same level. Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and biology have to be the same level. So if you choose college prep English, you have to choose college prep social studies. If you choose honors math, you have to choose honors biology. You don't have to choose 4 of the same level, so you don't have to choose all 4 college preps. You don't have to choose all 4 honors. Just those 2 in those boxes there need to be the same. Some students will have a required reading lab if they need support. We will schedule that right in there. It'll take an additional block up, but it will help support them in reading and writing so that they can be ready for sophomore year. You have to take a physical education and a health class, and we have a limited number of electives. Those are kind of like, I tell middle schools, those are like your specials. That's where you really get a choice. It's not your core class. It's not gym and it's not gym and health. I'm going to keep going backwards, sorry. But you need to check all those boxes. That's my point. College prep versus honors, what's the difference? College prep will prepare you to go to college if you choose to. I hope that everybody that ever walks in the doors of Danbury High School wants to go to college, but some kids don't. We want them to know that if they take college prep courses, they will be exposed to a rigorous curriculum that will prepare them for college if they choose to go. Honors, you're going to learn the same content. The real difference is going to be your class will go deeper in that content, and you'll have a heavier workload outside of class. So if your son or daughter tends to procrastinate a little bit, you have to be on them all the time about getting their homework done, constant reminders about that essay, talk to them about college prep and the difference between those two, and maybe college prep is the right choice. If your son or daughter does a phenomenal job at being on top of things, very well organized, pretty much tells you when papers are due and just shows you the scores, maybe honors is the right thing for them. But the real difference is they go a little bit deeper and they have a heavier workload outside of the classroom. A little less hand-holding. I don't want to say hand-holding, a little less prompting from the teacher that they'd get in college prep. The good thing about this is whatever you decide now and you register for, it's not set in stone forever. We do want you to make an educated guess because it helps us build the right number of sections so that we can have the proper number of college prep versus honored sections of our core classes. But if you choose college prep and come September, you get to class and you say, wow, this is way too easy and slow paced for me. I need to bump it up and I want to take some honors classes because I'm ready for the heavier workload. During the first 10 days of school, you can make that switch. After the first 10 days of school, those are your classes for the first semester. So make an informed decision now which level you want, but know that it can be changed in the fall if we need to. So our freshman curriculum, I don't want to get too much into what is actually taught in those classes because that would take me the next 2 hours. But in your link on the agenda, you can go and listen or even ask questions from all the department heads. If you want to find out what exactly is taught in English for freshmen, you can ask that question. You can also email department heads or email me if you have additional questions outside of that, but I'm not going to spend too much time on curriculum at this point. Elective choices, those are important. Those are kind of like the specials that I mentioned earlier, and we have a whole bunch of them. I think one of Danbury's greatest strengths is there's something for everyone. If you're interested in it, we have something for you. If you're thinking about going in the military and you want to join ROTC, we have a class for that. If you are interested in music and you want to play in the modern rock band class, you will get in there and you'll be playing drums and acoustic guitars and different instruments in that class. But we have something for everyone in the areas of ROTC, business, art, family consumer science, music. We have some science electives too that aren't biology, theater arts, technology education, and we recommend that all students take 2 or 3 years of a world language throughout their high school career, depending on when they start. So freshman year is a great time to start. If you took Spanish in the middle schools and you like the language and you want to keep going with that, request Spanish in high school. If you want to try something different, shoot for Chinese or French or Italian or American Sign Language. There's a whole bunch of options available when you get to the high school in terms of world languages. So a sample schedule, what might your son or daughter's schedule look like? This one is an A-B block. That's what we run here at Danbury High. On A days, we have 4 blocks, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on B days, we have 4 different classes taught during those 4 blocks. So on A days, your classes would go English 1, then it would go biology, and then it would go algebra 2 honors, and then your computer science principles class. And then on B day, so if Monday was an A day, tomorrow, Tuesday is a B day, you would go to modern world, you would go to health during the first semester, you would go to Spanish, and then you go to your cartooning class. So our classes rotate very similar to the middle schools in Danbury, so they should be pretty aware of an A-B block. The cool thing about that is you don't have to take up an entire block to have lunch, because that would be a waste. You can't get academics in during that. So we embed lunch into that 3rd block. So this sample student, their Algebra 2 honors class, their lunch wave would go down and eat lunch depending on where they are geographically. So if class is on G2, they'd go during the first wave of lunch. If class was on G3 in the freshman academy, they go during the 4th block. Don't worry about that now. We teach you all that during Flex, which I'll talk about in a minute too, once school starts. This is kind of for you visual learners that want to see this. Monday is A day, Tuesday is B day, and they kind of alternate throughout the week. So one week you'll have classes meet 3 times a week, and the next week they'll meet 2 because they're kind of on the backside of that. So what is Flex? I mentioned Flex. Flex is actually a really cool thing. Flex is embedded in the middle of our day between 2nd and 3rd block. And what Flex is a 30-minute period of time where students can get what they need. So what does that mean? That means different things for different kids. It's dedicated time that's always there 5 days a week. We always have flex. Our flex is individualized. So if I'm struggling in math, I'm going to make an appointment with my math teacher to review, get some extra help, study for the test, whatever it may be. Students schedule the week before for what they want to do the following week. So if I know I have a big math test coming on Friday, Thursday, I'm definitely booking myself for math. If I have an English essay that's due on Wednesday, maybe on Monday I'm going to go in there so I can get a little peer review. I have the teacher look at my rough draft so that I'm ready for those essays that are coming up. Our teachers will schedule students that have a 70 or below in their classes. So if you have a 62 in class, you can just about bet the teacher from that class is going to schedule you next week during flex to get you caught up. We make our teachers do that, and they do a fantastic job of providing interventions through flex. We also offer enrichment. We've done a whole bunch of stuff just because it's fun. So maybe you don't need any help in math. Maybe you don't need anything in science. So you sign up for something that is enjoyable, and it's not an intervention. It's not even really academic. It's just something for enrichment. We've done, I do a Sodexo food tasting where we bring in different vendors. We just had Kellogg's in to share some new products that they had. And my group will decide if it's something we want to go forward with in the cafeteria. Kids love it. They get to kind of be a part of this decision-making process, and they get free food and swag, and they really like that too. We've done Tire Change Tuesday if you want to go to the auto shop and learn how to change a tire. Mr. Esconi's set up a Ninja Warrior course down in the G Gym. We've had AP study sessions as we get closer to the AP test. So Flex is really there for what you need it to be there for. And I think it's a really valuable part of a student's day. And I think you guys will agree when you see it in action. So everyone gets Flex, and really we tailor it for what kids need. So I went really fast talking about those courses that we offer. The good thing is you can go on the Danbury High School website. You can click on Course Guide, and we have a version in English, Spanish, and Portuguese for you to take a look at the courses that you want to register or request starting tomorrow morning. Our registration window opens tomorrow morning, so feel free. It doesn't have to be first thing tomorrow morning, but we have it open for a few weeks, so it's important that you get out there, look and see what we have to offer, and make some informed decisions with your students. PowerSchool. Everybody that went to a middle school in Danbury has a PowerSchool account. So what they do is they log into their PowerSchool, they click on class registration, and they choose which classes they feel they want to take. Just know that in order to make the change, you have to click on the little pencil icon, and we ask that you choose both semester 1 and semester 2. We've had a lot of problems where maybe this student messed up and they clicked English 1 Honors and English 1 CP, and then we had to make a lot of changes to our requests. It happens, not a big deal, but try to be cognizant of which semester you're choosing. So we have after our core classes, we have all of our electives you can choose. The good thing about this year is we are starting tomorrow. After this presentation, I will be at Rogers Park tomorrow to talk to students about the courses that they're requesting. If they haven't done it already, I will sit with them and help them kind of build that PowerSchool page to get the courses that they want. Just know that your counselors can help. The middle school counselors are aware of our classes. They know the difference between college prep and honors, and they can help you make a decision. If you want to reach out to us because we're at the high school, feel free to do that too. It's important to know the difference between a registration and a request. If you request classes, which is what I'm asking you to do, request classes that you want for next year, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get them. I can assure you you're going to get English, math, science, and social studies, but I can't promise you that you're going to get this really popular elective, food nutrition, for instance, because the way that scheduling works, you request them, and then when we build the schedule, we satisfy senior requests first, because if we don't fulfill their requests, they don't get to graduate, and then juniors, and then sophomores, and then freshmen. So unfortunately, freshmen kind of get the elective requests that are left over after everyone else goes. But I promise we have enough space for everyone. It just might not be exactly what you want all the time. So that's the difference between a request and a registration. If your student receives special education services, this process will be done during their transitional PPT. So when you have their academic meeting to talk about next year, those requests will be done then. So If you make a mistake in what you're doing, or you decide you want to wait till the meeting, you can do so. That'll all be taken care of in the PPT if your student receives special education services. We're going to keep the registration window open until 4/1 or until we get all our requests. And new students, I know this, I'm going to have a separate info share for our new students, but just a reminder here, new students need to enroll at Cottage Street. There's a big button on the Danbury High School or the Danbury Public Schools website that you can click on to get more information. But if you're new to the district, we have something later on in the presentation so that you can be prepared to. So some academic supports, because I am running out of time. What do we do to help kids that are struggling? We have a Read 180 program, so that's a double block of English so they can improve their reading and writing skills instead of just a single block like they'd have if they were in English 1. So that's an intervention to help support their academics. Flex time that I talked about, I have directed studies up in my office. So if we have students that really aren't meeting our expectations academically, I pull them in for a study hall up in my freshman academy office, and I have a dedicated interventionist up here to help them. I have access to their counselors, and I'm up here too to really make sure that they are not getting off task. We have an after-school tutoring program that starts pretty quickly in the year. So we have English, Math, Science, Social Studies, and Spanish teachers. We pay them to provide tutoring support after school. This year it's Monday and Wednesday. I'm not sure about next year, but keep an ear out for that. We have a Twilight program. If students do not pass a core class their first semester, we allow them to take that class, that semester of the class after school during the second semester to get them caught up. So instead of making them do it again next year when they're sophomores, we provide that opportunity for students that kind of fit the criteria to take that class and regain that credit. Credit recovery is another option. That's kind of self-paced, and we do have an SRBI intervention process to support students in addition to all these academic supports as well. We have 23 advanced placement courses at Danbury High. 19% of our kids do take advantage of those AP classes. Only one is available to freshmen, AP Computer Science Principles. It's a really cool course that's going to prepare you for that journey. If you're interested in computer science, that's what I taught way back when, so it's near and dear to my heart. But if that's something you're interested in, that's the only AP class offered. Sophomore year, a few more come open, and then junior and senior, the rest of the catalog is open to students. So it's really beneficial that students take their AP classes, because when they go to college, some of those scores can be transferred for college credits. So that's not bad for mom and dad, who maybe could save a couple dollars. Flex for extensions, we talked about that. We have an honor society for just about every area. If you're really interested in going to business, you want to be an accountant, maybe join the Business Honor Society. If you're really into art, we have the National Art Honor Society that you can join. We have accelerated summer courses. If you want to get out of here in 3 years, it's certainly possible. It's not easy, but you want to take courses over the summer. They cost money, but you can certainly do that. We have an Upward Bound program for those students looking to be the first in their household going to college. Tons of athletics. We have an athletic team for just about anything you can imagine. Some of them are co-ops. Some of them are just Danbury High School students. We have a freshman level for almost all of those. So if you are interested in playing basketball, for instance, we have a freshman basketball team. Doesn't mean that all freshmen play on the freshman basketball team. Those that make the team, that maybe their skill level exceeds that of freshmen, they go play JV or varsity. But we do have a freshman exclusive level for all of our athletics as well. We have more clubs than you can ever imagine. When your student gets here, we will share that out during Flex so that they can decide what they want to be here other than just a student. I challenge them every year, don't just come here and learn how to write a paper and how to do some really complex math. I want you to be more than just a student. Get involved in something, give back to the community at the high school by being involved in more than just academics. That's kind of my challenge for every student. I told them all when I talked to them in middle school. Sorry. Mr. Salvestrini, very quickly, let's talk a little bit about athletics. What do these parents need to have so that they can hit the ground running in the fall?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Davison. We are an extension of the school day, and that's how we program our athletics. Fall sports, we have 19 teams during the fall, and I'll quickly just go through them so you have an idea of what we have. boys and girls cross country, cheerleading, varsity and JV, 3 levels of football, 3 levels of boys soccer, 3 levels of girls soccer, 3 levels of girls volleyball, 3 levels of field hockey, girls swimming, and boys golf is now a fall sport. When I say a level, we mean varsity, JV, and freshmen. We have a total of 58 sports. We have approximately 1,200 to 1,300 athletes every year that participate. You need, as parents, I think I would suggest this, listening to Mr. Davidson, as far as athletics is concerned, you should familiarize yourself not only with the school web page, main web page. There's a lot of information for academics, classes on there, but there's also information for athletics. And another thing that you need to hear, parents, you're going to hear it a lot, is family ID. You're going to hear family ID. You're going to hear about medical eligibility. Parents, if you have not had a physical for your child as you head into the fall, your child is not going to be able to play athletics. That's going to be the first roadblock to playing a freshman sport. They must have a physical. The physical must be good for 13 months. Most of the freshmen coming in, are okay, but we're going to have a pocket of freshman parents that don't hear what we're saying. We need a medical and we need it cleared by our nurses. So that's something that you should look in with your doctors now. If you have a physical, an opportunity to schedule a physical, you should look at doing it now. Because as everyone knows, it's difficult to get in to see the medical professionals these days. Okay, the webpage, Family ID. On the athletic webpage, there's the coaches page. We have all the head coaches, all the information, all the email addresses. You certainly can contact them. You certainly can contact the athletic office. We'd be more than willing to help. Also, on this webpage, you should familiarize yourself. There's fall 2021. It hasn't been updated to 22 yet, but you'll see how all the practices open up for the fall season in August, in early August and into early September. For start dates, football starts on 8/11, boys golf on 8/15, and all other fall sports, start on 8/25. We want to just hit you with the eligibility. All 9th graders coming in actually get a free shot first fall season. Most kids coming in will be okay, but there's a few sports at the end of the fall season, primarily football and some of the boys swim, girls swim, and a couple other sports that get caught up in the eligibility. This will be the first time where you might have a child be told you're not eligible to participate until your grades come up. So it's important that they come in with the right mindset about classes. As I said earlier in my first comments, we are an extension of the school day, and that's how we program our athletic program. Eligibility, character, commitment, behavior, and winning some games is also kind of neat too, but we can't get to that point unless we can do all the other things. I'm available, email, phone call, to answer any questions that you have, parents, at any time. Thank you.
Mr. Salvatrini, we did get a real quick question about physicals. So if we have a physical, what is the best way to get that to the coach? Is that done through Family ID? Do I hand that to the coach? What's the plan?
Okay, so you want to fill out Family ID. You want to get a physical. The physical form completed by your doctor has to go to our nurse's office to get cleared by them. Yes, it's the doctor will clear the physical, but for all the housekeeping in high school, our nurses clear it and check everything that happened for the physical. So once that is done, the nurses will forward the names of all the kids that are cleared to the coach for eligibility to begin practices.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I've seen some fantastic things from some outstanding freshmen on the athletic fields and courts, and I'm sure next year's group isn't going to be any different. It's really cool to see them show up as freshmen and grow to where they're doing phenomenal things out there as seniors. But the most important thing I always tell them is if you're not eligible and you don't make the grades, you can't participate after that freebie that Mr. Salvestrini spoke about. So academics, we want them to be well-rounded athletes, not just athletes. We want them to be scholars as well. The Danbury High School PTO has asked that I put this up here. If anybody is interested in helping them out, learning more about them, purchasing either stickers or masks from them, this is kind of your availability here. But reach out to them. Their website is linked from the Danbury High School website. So if you want to learn more about them and you want to reach out to them, please feel free to do so. They provide an outstanding service to our students and to our teachers. So if you have the free time and you want to get involved, please do so. So what's next? We've already been to the middle schools to talk to students virtually. Starting tomorrow, I will be there in person to help students out with their registrations. Today's checked. We're done with that. We do have a private school info share coming up on the 21st. That's during the day. So if you're new to Danbury Public Schools, you didn't go to the middle schools, maybe you went to elementary, but you're not currently enrolled in Danbury Public Schools, you'll want to come to that. It's 3/21 at 9 a.m. I sent it out to all the private and parochial schools, so you should have that as well. It's an opportunity to hear some of the same information, a little more geared towards new students, and also to request classes, because if you're not currently enrolled in Danbury Public Schools, you can't go into PowerSchool and request classes, so you have to do that with a counselor at Danbury High on the 21st. So the registration window opens tomorrow morning. It closes on 4/1. In between those two dates, myself, our director of counseling, our transition counselors, and anybody else we can find to come down and help us will meet with students to talk about their course selection, to make sure that they have requested the things that they truly want. We can answer any questions they have about those specifics of those courses, and hopefully we can build some pretty good schedules over the summer. So once we close the registration window on 4/1, our job is to look at what was requested. So we don't necessarily know how many sections of food and nutrition or modern rock band are going to be run next year. What we do is we look at the course requests and we build the sections according to what kids want. And we do our very best to satisfy all those requests for all of our students. But it takes a long time. So what we have to do is figure out which teachers teach what, when during the day, where they teach in the building, and that takes it takes a few months to get it all up and running. Schedules, after we put all that together, schedules are built in June, and then they're loaded up into PowerSchool in July, and then end of July, beginning of August, we share those schedules in PowerSchool with our students. So starting at that point, kids will be able to open up their PowerSchool and see their schedules for the fall. Tours, we didn't really get to do tours last year, and then we could do them, and then we couldn't do them again. This year, I'm super hopeful that the district, and I think they will, looking at current trends, tours will be allowed before school opens. So be on the lookout for that. I will email and robocall everybody the tour schedule so that kids can get in and just figure out where their classes are, because it's a really, really, really big building. And having that confidence, knowing when I leave math and I want to go to art, this is the way I go. Or when I'm in science and I got to go to lunch, here's how I get there without getting lost. I tell them they will get lost. It's a very big school, but it's okay. They'll learn it quickly. Teachers are really understanding, and people in the hallway are usually pretty nice to point them in the right direction. There's definitely not a pool, so if they pull that one on you, they're lying. So we did all those. If you have individual questions after this, feel free. You can find my email up on the DHS website, on the district website, or you can just take a screenshot here or take a picture. Mr. Salvestrini is the same. I do have a few questions in that I want to answer. If nobody has any more, then we'll keep rolling. So the first question is, are buses provided for students that take advantage of after-school sports? And we do not provide busing home from practice. We will provide buses to athletic events if they're away competitions and then back, but it would be your responsibility to pick them or set up a carpool or organize a way for them to get home after practice and after they get back to Danbury High School on athletic events. So we do not offer that. We do offer after-school transportation at 4 o'clock, 2 days a week for the tutoring program that I spoke about and for any clubs or activities that are going on in those 2 days. So if you're involved in the Key Club and you want to get on that bus on a Monday or a Wednesday, so long as you're there by 3:55, you can get on that bus. The buses travel to the elementary schools that are closest to your houses. So wherever you went to elementary school, that's probably where your bus will drop you off. Couple more questions. Do we have uniforms for gym? No, we do not. Definitely don't have uniforms for gym. We do ask that you change for PE. We don't want you there in flip-flops and jeans. We do ask that you wear something that's appropriate for a PE class, but we don't have any uniforms. What grade do you need to pass all classes? That's a 65. Is it better to take college prep or honors classes for colleges? That's a great question, and I don't have the right answer for you. I recommend that students take the course that is going to be challenging for them. If college prep is challenging for you, you should be in college prep classes. If honors classes are more challenging for you, then you should take honors classes, but you don't want to put yourself kind of underwater where you're not doing well and your grades dip, and then colleges see that you got a 65 in a bunch of classes. So find the one that's appropriate for your ability. Talk to your school counselor, email me. I can certainly help out in helping that decision. A couple more questions before we end. If you take Algebra 1 in middle school, does that transfer to Danbury High School as a math credit? Yes and no. So we check it off as a requirement, but we don't give you credit for it. So when you come in freshman year and you take Algebra 2 and you pass that class with flying colors, you'll get credit for that. You won't get credit towards the 25 of for Algebra 1. So if you took Algebra 1 in middle school, we note that you took Algebra 1 and we check off that box as a requirement, but you still have to take an additional math class to fulfill those requirements, but you have 4 years to do so, and I know you obviously can. Sports, you have to buy uniforms? Nope, we provide those. And I just got one more in. Will they be in the same classes sophomore, junior, and senior year? No, absolutely not. They won't even be possibly in the same classes they were semester 1 to semester 2. We have a semesterized school, so if you have health first semester, it's a half-year course, and you have PE second semester, you'll be in a different classroom with a different set of kids. All right. That's all I have for questions. If you do have any additional questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to reach out. If you submit them to this form, I can answer them kind of as they come in too. You don't have to be online to hear the answers. So thank you everyone for your time. I really appreciate the time that you took. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about our curriculum, go visit those department head tables, and I'll see you in the fall.